Go ahead.
Thank you. Back on the ransomware attack, is the U.S. going to retaliate? And realistically, what options are on the table? Is a counterattack an option?
Sure. Well, one, let me say, not to get ahead of your line of questioning, but I assume this will be a question. So we do expect this to be one of the issues that the president will discuss with President Putin at the summit. That will be 2 weeks from today, if my calendar is correct in my mind. And in terms of considerations, we're not taking any options off the table in terms of how we may respond. But of course, there's an internal policy review process to consider that. We're in direct touch with the Russians as well to convey our concerns about these reports.
You mentioned the meeting. When it comes to this issue, what does success look like at that discussion? I mean, what are you looking to accomplish when the president walks away from that table when it comes to cybersecurity?
Well, first, let me say that, this is an issue that we have discussed with the Russian government, the specific issue, and we've discussed it in the past and delivered the message that responsible states do not harbor ransomware criminals. As we've also noted from here, and I noted in the beginning, obviously ransomware attacks, we've seen them increase over a period of time. It's an increasing threat to the private sector and to our critical infrastructure. And there are other countries, many of whom we will see when the president is in Europe, who have similar concerns. So we expect this to be an issue of discussion throughout the president's trip, I will say. In terms of what success looks like coming out of the summit, I can't predict that at this point in time, but I can convey to you that this will certainly be a topic of discussion, that harboring criminal entities that are intending to do harm, that are doing harm to the critical infrastructure in the United States is not acceptable. We're not going to stand by that. We will raise that, and we are not going to take options off the table.
And in those conversations with the Russian government so far, do you get a sense that they are taking this seriously? Are they going to be taking steps to try and stop these bad actors?
I am, as I've said before, I'm blissfully not a spokesperson for the Kremlin, so I will let them speak for themselves. But I can assure you that we are raising this through highest levels of the U.S. government. It will be a topic of discussion and direct one-on-one discussions or direct discussions with President Putin and President Biden happening in just a couple of weeks. And certainly protecting our own infrastructure in the United States is of utmost national security importance.
And just one more on this topic, because the Russians are outlining some of the things they would also like to discuss during the summit. The Foreign Minister Lavrov indicated that Russia wants to be discussing human rights violations in the U.S., saying they're following with interest the persecution of those persons who are accused of the riots on January 6th this year. I'm wondering what you make of that, where you think this is coming from.
Well, we don't use the Russian government as our guide to human rights models in the world, but I will say that the president has not held back in his view that the attacks on January 6th were a mark on democracy, were a dark day in our own democracy, and certainly I'm sure he'd be happy to repeat that. But the president's view is that there are a range of topics that we should be discussing in this meeting. We'll have more to preview for it, probably in the days in advance of the summit, including on his agenda is, of course, these cyber attacks and the use of ransomware, harboring criminal entities in your own country. Also is their aggressive actions in Ukraine, and also are areas where there can be an opportunity to work together, including nuclear capabilities and security. So lots to discuss.